Guys, I'm going to go over some of the weather sayings that were on slide 5. So the focus question is, why do we study weather? So the first saying that was on the list was, red sky at night, sailors delight. Red sky in the morning, sailors take warning. So if people on the water, so anybody on the water this could apply to, mostly sailors in this case, red sky at night, sailors delight. So if they see a red sky at night, that means that it's clear to drive their boats. Red sky in the morning, sailors take warning. That means if they see a red sky in the morning, there most likely will be some kind of storm while they're traveling. And it was used back then, obviously. The majority of these have been used back then. You don't really hear people saying that nowadays. But anybody who's a sailor or works some next weather saying is, halos around the sun or moon indicate rain or snow real soon. So anybody could have observed that. If they saw a halo around the sun or the moon, that means that rain or snow will happen. So these are just people making observations. In this case, it's probably a farmer or anybody just looking up at the sky from back then. Most of the time they got their news from observations. Back then didn't have the weather tools or meteorologists that we have today, so they had to make observations. And if they saw some of the things that they saw, they just assumed that it would have rain or terrible weather. The next saying is, a wind from the south has rain in its mouth. So if there's a wind coming from the south, they're saying that rain will happen. Once again, this could be farmers with seasonal work, maybe even people up north in this case. The next saying is, if the rooster crows on going to bed, you may rise with a watery head. So they're saying if a rooster crows at night, so right when you're going to bed, you may rise with a watery head. So you're going to get wet, it's rain. And so people that probably observe this are farmers, seasonal workers, again, anybody who has roosters. The next saying is, if spiders are many and spinning their webs, the spell will soon be very dry. So they're saying if there's a lot of spiders where you're at and there's a lot of webs, that there's most likely going to be dry weather or a drought. Farmers are seeing this, or ordinary people, or seasonal workers. Next saying is, pigs gather leaves and straw before a storm. So if you observe pigs gathering leaves and straw, people would assume that there was a storm. So this could be anybody who owns pigs, but most of the time farmers own pigs. Next saying is, the louder the frog, the more the rain. So anybody could hear a frog, and if they're croaking a lot, then they assume that there's going to be lots of rain. In this case, it could be anybody who lives near a pond, a creek, where frogs are at. Saying is, dandelion blossoms close before rain. So they're saying that dandelions blossom, they sprout up right before it's about to rain. Once again, anybody could observe that, an ordinary person. Saying is, pale moon rains, red moon blows. White moon neither rain nor blows. So if you have a pale moon, it's going to rain. If you have a red moon, it's probably going to be windy. And white moon, neither rain nor blows, so good, clear weather. So anybody observing the sky, and in this case, it could even be an astronomer, could be farmer, seasonal work, could be anybody who's making those observations. And the last saying is, clear moon, frost soon. So if you see a clear moon, it's going to frost. And that's the one that I picked. So clear moon means cooler night or morning, and obviously it happened probably back then, farmers, seasonal work. So they observed frost in their plants when the moon was clear. More than one person talked about this and carried it on from generation to generation. So the majority of people have carried these sayings on because, like I said before, it's because they didn't have the weather tools or meteorologists that we have today. So here's the explanation for why we study weather. It helps you plan for the next day, for safety purposes, for farming, which the majority of those sayings were probably farmers, business reasons or economic reasons, so for money, planning things like what you're going to wear, trips, etc. And here's some other things about why we study weather. So meteorology is the science of weather. Meteorologists are the people who study Earth's weather. I'm going to talk about the research that I want you to do on severe weather. Now, you can choose whatever weather event you'd like to choose, but please contact me first if it's not one of the choices that I give you. Because some things people believe are severe weather, like thunderstorms, when they're really not severe. So, a weather event you can choose is a hurricane, tornado, drought, typhoon, flood, blizzard, etc. Like I said, you have to ask me if you'd like to do something else. You can pick a specific hurricane, tornado, etc., but make sure you can get enough information because you're going to fill out a note-taking guide answering a few questions, and you're going to need at least 3 to 4 points on each of them. So what kind of information am I looking for? So I want you to look up how forecasts impact the severe weather outcomes. So you need key facts, 3 to 4 points. Weather data. So that means what happens in the storm, okay? Like what's the air pressure? What's the temperature typically? All different factors, okay? What's the impact of the event? What's safety information? What do you need to know to be safe during your severe weather event? Other information. I do want 3 to 4 other information facts that you didn't write in your key facts or in the other sections. And then you're going to answer the question, can this weather event be predicted by meteorologists? So can meteorologists predict this event before it happens? And explain. And then I need a summary. So I want you to summarize all of your points in a little paragraph. And then you're going to make a claim. Why do we study weather? Okay, I claim that we study weather because. You also need to make sure you write down the websites that you use to get your information. You need at least 3 websites where it says sources of information. I expect you to have 3 websites